All right, we are live. Hey, welcome to January 5th's MakerDAO community call. My name is David Utrobin. I do community development at the Maker Foundation and just MakerDAO in general. Yeah, Happy New Year. Today is the very first kind of week back in this new year, and so it is exciting. I know 2020 has left quite a legacy for all of us in our memories. For many, it was a tough year. For many, it was a year of just grinding it out, and yeah, it's been an interesting year. But I don't think anybody would disagree with the fact that crypto, and specifically the ETH, the whole Ethereum DApp space and DeFi space has been growing at like an incredible pace, especially in 2020. We saw just a number of really cool things happen, everything from the invention and adoption of farming to just a plethora of applications being built and teams coming about, and yeah, it's been a really exciting place to be. Just watching it all happen, and I hope that you share in my excitement, because everything that comes out, I just ogle over, and I lament over the fact that I don't have enough time to really dig into it as much as I wish I could. But yeah, Happy New Year to everybody. I put together a presentation, and we are going to basically cover it in this call. I want to just remind anybody on the call, this is a totally laid back open call. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat. If you even want to come on to the video or microphone, feel free to ask in the chat. I'll happily send an invite and we can have a conversation. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I could get through this presentation in the first 2/3 of the call, and so we will do that. And feel free, anybody, to stop me. And so yeah, with that being said, let me share my screen here, and I could get us started. All right, cool. So you should be able to see my screen. All right, cool. If I make, no, that's not fun. Let's not make it like that. Hold up. Okay, I'm stuck here on my monitor. I apologize. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm going to keep it like this because my vertical screen is not very accommodating. Or better yet, yeah, bear with me here, folks. I'm going to do it like that. So let me stop sharing my screen for just a second and reshare. There we go. All right, awesome. That looks way better. All right, so Happy New Year, everybody. MakerDAO 2021 Kickoff is what we're going to be talking about. My name is, again, David Utrobin, Community Development Lead, and we're gonna get started. So what is the plan? So the plan, I'm really just going to talk about a handful of things. We're going to do like a brief 2020 recap. I'm going to share maybe my top 7 or 8 2021 expectations for MakerDAO. And then we're going to launch into a Mips overview. Mips are maker improvement proposals, and they are basically, they run on a monthly cycle, and we have just entered the January monthly cycle, the first one of 2021. Sorry, not 2020. I gotta learn to say 2021 now. But yeah, we're gonna get through this. So let's do it. All right, so I actually pulled this screenshot out from a blog that the Maker Foundation blog team put together called MakerDAO's Year in Review 2020, and it's really fantastic. It's linked here. I'll share the link in the chat if you'd like to check it out. Yeah, so let's cover a few of these. So December in 2019, that was about a month after multi-collateral DAI was first launched. It was upgraded from single collateral DAI. I actually can't believe how long it's been since single collateral DAI was basically, MakerDAO. But here we are. December 2019 was the very beginning. There were 71 million DAI, only 2 collateral types, which were ETH and, geez, what was the first collateral type? Man, I'm ashamed that I don't know off the top of my head. Okay, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, 2 collateral types in December, with a total value locked of about 350 million in collateral, backing that 71 million DAI, with around 3,000 vaults and something short of around 300, not short of 355 integrations. So last month, December 2020, little snapshot of the data there, we hit 1 billion DAI. That's number 1. Oh, Ethan BAT, right. Okay, so BAT was the very first collateral. Cool. All right, so we hit 1 billion DAI December of 2020. That is a more than 10x increase in the number of circulating DAI. We 8x'd the amount of collateral from 2 to 16. We have quite a lot of collateral and more being added this year, which is exciting. And the total value locked in December of 2020 was 2.71 billion. And from what I could tell on Mariano Conti's Twitter feed, we actually broke 3 billion at some point in the last few days or week or so. So that is also really exciting. A 10x increase in the total value locked in the protocol. The amount of vaults opened also dramatically increased to about 18,000. And of course, with 16 collateral types and a ton more time for people to learn about Maker and start using it, it's a great number of positions. And obviously, people can hold multiple positions, so don't treat that metric as users. Treat that metric, as individual positions with vaults. And we've in the last year done about 545 integrations. That's like a rough estimate. I don't know if these are exact numbers, but nevertheless, the Maker Foundation business development and integrations team have been hard at work. So yeah, those are kind of some key stats that I wanted to share. I have to click on this again. And then, so here on the left, you could see that there is just a ton of community activity happening. I know the GIF is a little bit hacky, but as you could see, I just kind of grabbed it from this internal tracking Excel sheet that actually Amy has been working on to kind of bring together all of the different teams, all the different projects and programs, all of the different community resources, community tools. And there is just a ton of activity that has happened over the last year at Maker. And on the right, I took a little snapshot this morning of the forum.makerdao.com site statistics because I thought they were pretty interesting. In the last 30 days, we've had almost 600 active users, 536 active users, with about 300 being active in the last 7 days. And of course, not all users are voters. It's definitely a lot of interested parties, stakeholders, people, people in the space that just keep tabs. But I do want to point out that there is 2.3 thousand user accounts created since last year. I mean, the forum actually launched, I believe it was early in 2020, if not late 2019. I can't really remember, but yeah, 2.3K users. That's an incredible amount of people. And likewise, just in the last 30 days, we've seen 108 different topics opened with 1.9K comments on those topics. And so you could see that the Maker community, besides the Maker protocols metrics in and of itself, the Maker community is quite something to marvel at. It's a lot of activity. So here's a list of just some 2020 achievements that I wanted to share. On the bottom right corner, there's a and much more. text, which yeah, I couldn't fit everything in here, so I just chose kind of the ones that were most prolific and the ones that I think were the most important to me. So there are things missing. There is definitely more that happened this year, but here's just some of them. So first of all, governance got a bit more organized and launched the Maker Improvement Proposal Framework. That happened in early 2020. Likewise, we've added 15 collateral types, we've 8x'd our TVL, we've 14x'd our DAI supply. We did a voting portal redesign, which actually included the ability to comment on executive votes and batch governance polls. We did a debt ceiling IAM, an instant access module. So for those of you that are unfamiliar, vaults in MakerDAO have debt ceilings. So there's a maximum amount of DAI that could be generated from any given vault. And the MKR community has been voting individually on these debt ceiling increases pretty much since the beginning of multi-collateral DAI. And in the last month of 2020, a debt ceiling instant access module was implemented on the ETH-B vault. And what this instant access module does is it actually allows us to have sort of an automated debt ceiling controller. And basically the parameters are you could set like a maximum debt ceiling, and it'll keep a, I think for ETH-B it was like a 5 million or 3 million DAI buffer, and it'll readjust it as it grows or shrinks in borrow volume or DAI generated volume. And that's really exciting to see, because I expect that since this has been working so well for ETH-B, I expect that over 2021 we'll see more of this kind of automation that actually saves a lot of time and effort and votes. So people don't have to vote as much. Another one, yeah, so actually I kind of realized I should have taken out the redundant ones that I covered in like that last slide, but whatever, it's cool. 600 plus integrations. We launched a community development portal, which I'll show you all here. This has actually been totally the creation of members in the community with a little bit of input from myself. But big shout out to Richard Rosa for doing the illustrations on the site, and for guys like Tim, Tom, Hayden, and just, I'm sorry if I'm not going to get everybody, because a ton of people worked on this. And so you can come on. This is a great place for newcomers to actually learn about Maker. We have a Learn tab that goes into everything. We have also a Contribute tab if you're interested in contributing to the community. You could do so by hackathons, by helping with content, by participating in governance and risk meetings, taking summaries, joining our summary team, by hosting an educational meetup in your hometown or wherever you live, at your university that you might go to. There's also a translations initiative, which is kind of underdeveloped. We are working on that this year, but yeah, there's translations. That's another way people can contribute. And finally, there's kind of like a general bounties little tab here in the contribute button. And likewise, yeah, so we launched this community development portal. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but that was a really big achievement, and we're really excited to have a place that we can point newcomers to really learn the basics and like explain it like 20 version. But besides that, I'm actually going to go to this square. There's also a documentation portal that was launched in early 2020. This was primarily the work of Charles St. Louis and team. But this goes into a lot more depth with regards to the technical implementation of MakerDAO. So it'll go through pretty much everything that you see here. This is kind of what MakerDAO looks like. From a smart contracts architecture perspective, there's a ton of different things going on, and it is all hella fascinating. And likewise, there's different guides and kind of explanations and things here. Really great material for anybody who's trying to learn about the protocol. Besides that, Maker Governance established a rate setting group. This also really helped decrease the number of votes that are happening on a monthly basis. Now Primosh and the rest of the risk team. Actually, I think the rates working group might not be purely the risk. I'm not 100% sure. So forget what I'm saying here. But there is a rate setting group. You know, spearheaded by Primoz. And they pretty much do an assessment of all the stability fees and make a recommendation and put that to a vote. I think it's monthly. But besides that, Maker Governance also actually formally how do I say this? Formally introduced a number of different domain teams. So in Maker Governance, there's emerging this kind of structure of different functions having different teams that are independent but working closely with one another. So there's a risk team, there's an oracles team, there's a smart contracts team, there's an operational support team, and I believe there's even coming a governance communications team. And yeah, this is kind of the beginning of the decentralized organization forming as a decentralized organization. And we've seen a lot of these groups, kind of formalized through the Maker improvement proposals process. And it's really exciting. So, and actually just a bit more context. So the Maker Foundation, the organization that I and many of the people working on the Maker protocol work for, is an organization that was meant to bootstrap the protocol, and it's always been the plan to let go and kind of step back and let the foundation eventually, dissolve and have this be a truly decentralized organization that's filled with these kind of individual working groups and teams. And just wanted to mention that. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of progress towards this year. And actually, one of the other big 2020 things that I didn't put in this slide is the fact that the control over the governance contract and the Maker protocol was totally handed off to the community. I believe at some point there were some permissions that a foundation multisig had. Don't take my word for it. There's actually a really great blog post that I could share with you all. Maybe after the presentation, I will find it and share it. But let me keep going so we don't lose some of that momentum. So this year in 2020, there have been literally hundreds of votes with over 25% of MKR locked in governance. So I know some of you look at that 25% and you're like, hey, David, 25%, that's 250,000 MKR. How come all of the executive votes only have like 100,000 MKR or less voting on them? Well, that's a really great point. But so like this metric actually is talking about the total MKR locked in the DS Chief contract, which is the governance contract. And although on average around 100,000, well, actually more like 80,000 to 90,000 MKR participate in each executive, there is also an inactive group of MKR that kind of becomes active, not on every vote, but kind of on key votes. And kind of sporadically, but according to mkrgov.science, which is a community-built portal for metrics around MakerDAO governance, there was around 250,000 MKR locked for most of the year inside of MakerDAO's governance contract. And actually, recently, this number has gone down because we have done a upgrade to the governance contract, DS Chief 1.2, and that's actually to prevent flash loans from happening and being used in governance. And so that is forcing everybody to migrate at the moment. So yeah, that number probably looks closer to like 15%, I would say right now, but I haven't checked. But still, a quarter of MKR living in governance is pretty positive in my view, and I hope this year that number goes up. Especially with some of the stuff that is coming up, which we're going to get to in a second. Actually, literally a second. So expectations 2021. Yeah, building out software and decentralized communities. Really exciting stuff. Here is kind of my list of all of the expectations that have been laid out in the forum and that I've been seeing. Obviously, this isn't a complete list, but these are kind of the biggest things on the horizon from my view. There is a incoming governance contract redesign. So as I mentioned before, we just upgraded to 1.2, but over the course of the next 3 or 4 months, I'd say, maybe sooner, it really depends on the bandwidth of the smart contracts team. But yeah, there will be a governance contract redesign called DSS Gov. And it will include a number of really cool things like vote delegation. It will also remove the constraint that we have right now in executive votes where we have to bundle them. This will actually allow for, I believe, multiple concurrent executive votes. And much more. There's a great forum thread about all of the details, and Derek Fossman has done I think even a couple of presentations about the governance contract redesign, even here on this community call. So if you are on YouTube, feel free to search the MakerDAO channel for Derek Fossman or governance contract redesign, and you will find that video. It's really cool. He did a ton of work on that presentation, and he's been doing a ton of work on the project in general. So yeah, shout out to Derek. Number 2, we have Liquidations 2.0 coming up. So one notable thing that happened in 2020 was, of course, Black Friday? Was it Friday? Black Thursday. Yeah, Black Thursday back in March, when the coronavirus mania hit the markets and ETH plummeted down to as low as $80. And the Maker protocol made a blunder because there was a exploit that was taken advantage of, and collateral auctions were basically clearing for basically free. Whoever was bidding on those auctions got a ton of ETH for free, and the Maker protocol lost something like $7 to $8 million. And actually, as a result of that, the Liquidations 2.0 redesign, that whole initiative was launched. Additionally, liquidations since then have been upgraded to have things like circuit breakers, and even a rate limiter for how much stuff can get liquidated. So in the current liquidation system, I think the box, which is the parameter, which is the maximum amount of DAI being liquidated at a given time, is set to 15 million, which is pretty low. And I believe that there is conversation in the forum about increasing that, given some investigation into how much liquidity keepers actually have. And so, yeah, Liquidations 2.0 is on its way, and it is far more resilient, a bit better, and definitely an improvement to Liquidations. So that's exciting. Number 3, we have the DAI Flash Mint module. This is really great because we get to have some market share in the Flash loan whole world, and our advantage, the Maker protocol's advantage with this, is that it has no limit to how much DAI can be flash loaned. So this is kind of very obvious. The MIP for the flash loan has already been passed through governance. What's happening now is, I believe, the code is kind of waiting to be implemented by the smart contracts team. And I'm not 100% sure. Maybe if Sam or somebody is on the call here, they could update us on whether there is a pending audit or something like that. But I believe the code was already audited. Don't take my word for it. Definitely search the forums for DAI Flash Mint module if you want a foolproof update on that. But yeah, 2021, the DAI Flash Mint module will be implemented. I have no doubt about that. And that is going to be an additional stream of revenue for the Maker protocol. All right, I'm going to pause here. I see Lewis in the chat asked something. I'll just read it out loud. Is the contract going to be protected against the Flash Mint module as well, or can it be used for governance attacks? So, in governance, MKR is used, and the DAI Flash Mint module, it will not be offering MKR. It'll be offering DAI. So yeah, it's not a risk to governance attacks or anything like that. It's purely for DAI generation. Yeah, cool. And then number 4. So Oracles as a service is a really interesting one, because I feel that the bulk of 2020 has kind of forgotten about Oracles as a service. In the very beginning, maybe it was like, yeah, it was in the very beginning of 2020, Nick Kunkel put up a series of votes to actually establish the plan for Maker Oracles. And the plan is that, Oracles as a service. There's a ton of different DeFi protocols that rely on Oracles, rely on price feeds, rely on off-chain data being accessible on-chain. And Maker has not only the infrastructure, but the means and everything to kind of provide this. And Maker is uniquely positioned because, we have 3 billion total value locked relying on our oracles. And over the last year, we've just onboarded tons of feeds. I believe we're at 25 or 26 feeds, and 16 collateral types, 16 different assets, or not, I think it's like 14 different assets that we have oracles for, and that there is price tracking for. And so within oracles, there is a whitelisting functionality, and we will be able to basically whitelist people to use them and charge a fee to actually use our oracles. So it's another business vertical for the Maker protocol that's going to come about. One of the proposals for oracles as a service was that after somebody gets whitelisted, oracles are free for an entire year. After that, they will start getting charged. And so this has actually been somewhat of an underdeveloped vision. I know that Nick has been pouring his heart and all his effort out into working on oracles. But I think that there is a number of really interesting questions that still need to be tackled, not just by him or people in his team, but by anybody in the community who feels that they understand the Oracle business and want to contribute. Some of the common kind of problems are like pricing. How do you determine pricing? How do you manage pricing? How does collecting service fees work? There's kind of a number of things to tackle, and I think that in 2021, Oracles as a service is definitely a whole realm that will be tackled at MakerDAO. So I am excited for that. Number 5 is the Mips portal. So at the moment, we launched Mips. I think we're about 35 Mips in, which is really great. There's a ton of really awesome things happening there. But the problem that a lot of people in the Maker community have with Mips is that they're very hard to dive into and search around and to kind of find even where they are. Most people use the version of the Mips that are posted on the forums, which isn't necessarily the most up-to-date version. But the best place to actually do Mips or find Mips right now is not the tracking board, but the repo. So this repo right here is kind of the go-to for anybody who wants to read up on Mips. You go into any one of these folders and you kind of read about what each Mip is. This is obviously very user not friendly, and one thing that is on the community's plate. I believe Juan is actually spearheading this, but yeah, there's going to be a Mips portal this year, which is really exciting and helpful for governance participants, for tracking, for being able to understand the different processes, for all of the nuances at MakerDAO. Number 6 is there is a really cool developer portal incoming by the developer experience team at the Maker Foundation, the DX team, which is like Adrian and a number of others. And they have been, they've been working on a developer portal, and I believe the public launch is somewhat early in the year. So I'm excited to see that happen in pretty soon. So keep an eye out for that. Number 7 is community publications. So this is actually a new section on the community development portal that is going to be devoted to exactly that, community publications. So governance and risk call summaries, op-ed pieces, articles that are done in the community, research pieces that are done in the community about MakerDAO. All of these things will be will have a place to live and have a place to kind of exist and be archived and taken care of. And it will be there on the community development portal, accessible to all. So I'm excited for that. And then lastly, number 8 is the debt ceiling, instant access modules, and other automations. So as I mentioned earlier in the call, ETHB has so far been a success. And with its success, I'm seeing and expecting that more of these will be implemented on more vaults. And not only that, but there's going to be other things that are expedited, other instant access modules, which is kind of vague to say. And I wish I had examples. I wish I had prepared some examples, but I'm kind of blanking. There were other IAMs. What was? I think there was like a IAM for stability fees that was being thought about. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of stop myself there before I make stuff up. But yeah, really excited for more efficiency in Maker governance. And like I mentioned in the first point with the governance contract redesign, there is delegation coming. There is a version of Maker governance that doesn't bundle a number of different things into single executive votes. There's going to be a fix to that. So I'm really looking forward to the future of Maker governance. It's going to be quite a transformative year this year. And so, yeah. So I just added this quote to make this presentation slightly less monotonous. But to reach a port, we must set sail, not tie at anchor, sail, not drift. So as you can see, the Maker protocol is sailing pretty damn hard, and I'm excited for this year. And if you are watching this and you're interested in contributing to anything that you've seen here, please join our chat, join our forum, reach out to myself or other contributors, Long for Wisdom, any of the domain team facilitators. And yeah, we're happy to have passionate, talented individuals working on these really, really interesting problems and solutions. And yeah, so definitely reach out if you're interested in this stuff. There is a way to make money on the internet, believe it or not. All right, so that concludes the 2021 expectations slide. Of course, there's plenty of stuff that I'm missing. For example, real world assets, right? There's going to be probably a number more of those being added this year. So that's exciting for the DAI supply and for the diversification of that underlying collateral for the whole Maker protocol. So let's get into it. So welcome to the 2021 governance cycle. Let's get into it. So I actually had the pleasure of putting together this Mips update. Usually Charles does it, but I am a MIP editor in training. And so part of that is just trying to understand what the MIP editor role is, what they do. And part of it is posting a Mips update. So here's mine. All right, so this week's activity, we are here. It is Tuesday, January 5th, and so this week marks the very first week of January's governance cycle. For the very first week, there is something called a formal submission period. This is that 5-day period where MIP authors can take their MIPs, take them out of the request for comment phase, and formally submit them for this month's governance cycle. A note on that: in order to formally submit, there has to be I think a 3-day period, either a 3-day period or a 1-week period where there are no changes made to the MIP. So if you're submitting it on, for example, Monday, actually I should probably check that. But if you're submitting it on Monday this week, you better make sure that there were no changes like right before you submitted it. Yeah, there has to be basically enough time for people to comment on the changes to make sure that they aren't, screwing up the MIP in some way that's not obvious, right? Or maybe that's obvious. Who knows? And so yeah, formal submission. That's what's happening this week. And so here is the list of formally submitted proposals for this month. We have the MIP 29 peg stability module. This is a technical MIP. It outlines the spec of the peg stability module. And actually, the peg stability module has already launched. It's already implemented. It already exists. And 3 million USDC has actually already been deposited and swapped for DAI. And I think there is currently an executive vote happening to increase that from 3 million to 30 million. So the peg stability module exists. This MIP is just formally accepting the technical spec, the technical spec of the module. So this is kind of a formality, since Maker voters already voted in the mechanism and are using it, which is really cool. Yet another revenue stream for Maker, since there is a there's a 10 basis point in and out fee, which is really great. It's really, really great. Yeah. All right, let me breathe for a second. All right, cool. MIP 30 is the other main MIP that's being formally submitted. It is a farmable CUSDC adapter. This is USDC that is, lent out on Compound and earns a comp farming reward. And so this actually will enable USDC vaults, as well as the PSM potentially, to capitalize on that USDC that's sitting there. So for context, there's 3 million USDC in the peg stability module right now. And that's 3 million that could be earning some percent, right? And so, yeah, that's a technical MIP that is being put through the governance cycle this month. So definitely read through it, check it out. If you're an MKR voter and you have an issue with anything, don't be afraid to vocalize that on the forums. Don't be afraid to, we actually encourage that you vocalize your opinions on the forums, because they might, might have a really positive impact on, Maker. If we catch things early, if criticism is legit, All right, so some sub-proposals. There is a number, there's 2 declarations of intent. I should have put them together, but one of them is for a governance communications team. So there's actually a number of contributors in the Maker community who kind of functionally work as this governance communications team. They produce things like the Maker Relay, the governance call summaries, the snippets that are posted, the call summary snippets that are posted, which is a separate thing. There's even like a MakerDAO podcast that's being piloted this month, so look out for that. And this group of people is proposing to be this mandated group of governance communications, because there is a lot of stuff happening at Maker, and it takes a group of people to bring it together, aggregate it, and simplify it, which is their motto, and to make it really accessible for the casual MKR voter, because we recognize that not everybody can devote their entire day to Maker. For many people, for many voters, this is a side interest to something that they might be doing primarily. And so that's why things like Maker Relay, things like these community calls, are very important. They help spread information. They help keep the group of MKR voters that are active aware and have access to this information in a fairly easy way, where they don't have to scour the forums and figure it all out themselves every week. So I believe that this is a really great effort by the team, and that a team like this should exist going in the future. That's me personally. That's my opinion. Of course, if you are of a different opinion, please share on the forums. We'd love to hear it. And so continuing on, the other declaration of intent here is Maker protocol cover with Nexus Mutual. Nexus Mutual is an insurance provider, and basically, how did they phrase it? This declaration of intent is Maker governance wishes to engage Nexus Mutual to provide cover for the Maker protocol, and it offers all of the kind of details. And so this is step one to getting something like insurance on the Maker protocol, which is pretty cool. From what I can tell, there was a lot of positive reception. I'm not sure about the other side of it, like the criticism of the implementation or the policy or anything like that. So if you are an insurance expert and interested in that side of things, definitely read through that thread, participate, share your thoughts. And then, no, I didn't mean to. I closed the tab accidentally. Oops. All right, yeah. So the other three are all domain team onboarding proposals. So the first one is domain team onboarding for the risk domain team. It's onboarding Sebastian, Seb Ventures on the chat and on the forum, who's a PhD, I believe in data science. If I'm actually, let me open, since we're here, let me open this real quick. He's a PhD in data science, bachelor's in accounting and business. Has had some really great experiences professionally, and has been one of the most active Maker community members in the last 6 months at least, if not even earlier than that. And so Sebastian has been contributing heavily to Maker, and this is definitely a really great proposal to formally get him on board. And then likewise for the smart contracts team, finally Sam Mcpherson, aka Hexanaut, aka Sam M, is formally adding himself as a smart contracts team facilitator. And he is actually the person who coded up the DAI Flashment module, the peg stability module, and has performed smart contract assessments on various collateral applications. So he is also a total powerhouse of a community member, and it brings me nothing but joy to see this proposal. So that seems pretty cool. And then the very last one is none other than Juan, who Juan has been working closely with the community development department, which is my department, with Amy Jung and many of the contributors to help basically incubate all of these different working groups and help. So it makes a lot of sense for him to be joining the operational support domain, which is a very new domain that was added into the Maker protocol like late into 2020, and so he is coming on board, hopefully, if he gets voted in. But yeah, he's been doing a ton of work. He has a ton of credentials, and yeah, check it out. He's also been very, very active in the community. And all right, that concludes all of the formally submitted proposals for this month. On Thursday, Long for Wisdom is going to do a submission review just to make sure that all of these are in accordance with the guidelines defined in MIP 0. And then next week, after he does this review, all of the accepted formally submitted proposals are going to go to individual inclusion polls. This is a poll that basically asks MKR voters, hey, are you voting in this MIP formally? And if you're saying yes, then it will be bundled all together with all the other ones that pass into an executive vote. And so, yeah, that's going to happen on Monday, January 11th, and it's going to run for 3 days until January 14th. I think the vote ends right before the governance call starts. So, yeah. And then that week, there's going to be an inclusion poll review. And then finally, for the last 2 weeks, there's going to be a governance poll followed by an executive vote to pass these things. So yeah, as you can see, the MIPS process has a lot of checks and balances, making sure that not only things are looked over, but that MKR voters really accept that these things are being formally accepted. Here's some other miscellaneous MIP activity. There's a number of proposals in the request for comment phase, and typically proposals are meant to stay in the request for comment phase for, I believe, 3 months. And so, yeah, MIP 26 actually just fulfilled this. I believe it was posted back in October. I want to say October. Well, we'll find out in just a second. But yeah, October. Cool. So yeah, it's been a full 3 months since request for comment phase, and but nevertheless, this is still in request for comment phase. It's a very complex proposal, and there's a lot of details. So certain MIPs, last longer than others. And then likewise, we saw a new forum member, relatively new. I think it's Alexis. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So put up two different MIPs. They were in the conception phase as of last month, but they have moved to the request for comment phase, and they're interesting. So there's a proposal for something called an active reserve AMM. And this is the similar idea to Sebastian's idea for the strategic reserve fund, where there is, we have the surplus buffer that's accruing DAI, but then to actually pay for, expenses for, people's compensation for, whatever it might be, there is a strategic reserves fund being proposed. And so this is a different version of that similar idea, except instead of just a strategic reserve fund, it's structured like a Uniswap pair, where it's MakerDAO 50/50, and basically, yeah, some part of the surplus buffer goes here, and there's a number of different kind of positives that Alexis outlines, like burn process efficiency, more MKR price stability and liquidity for trading. Yeah, just a number of things. So it's a pretty interesting idea. I haven't heard it before, and when I read it, it kind of blew my mind a little bit. But yeah, really cool to see this posted last month. Feel free to comment and check it out. And then likewise, Alexis posted this other MIP 32, the peg stability module compound mixed exposure. So as you know, the PSM currently is implemented for USDC, and USDC, as we saw, there's a crop join adapter for it being put through the governance cycle this month. So this is, I think, a different approach to doing the same thing that I think crop join is aiming to do, which is to make the USDC that's sitting inside of the PSM actually, yield generating for the Maker protocol. So yeah, read through these. I believe this is a technical MIP. There's a proposed implementation already. So huge shout out to Alexis. Yeah, really great to see that stuff. All right, and then lastly, there was a sub-proposal that is now in the request for comment phase about onboarding a new collateral type backed by B protocol declaration of intent. So this is just a declaration of intent, but nevertheless, I highly suggest people check this out because I personally haven't yet, so I don't even know what they what does a new collateral type backed by B protocol even look like. So yeah, leaving that up there. I'll have more details for you in future community calls. actually might invite some people for these upcoming calls. And yeah, there's a number of pre-MIP discussions happening. I'm not going to read through all of these, but one that has a ton of controversy and kind of both mostly negative, but some people really want this. But there's launch a grand MKR yield farming program that says that's a 100 billion market cap. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen, but yeah, read the thread if you're curious about what's going on there. There's a throttled. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna kind of leave this to you all to check out. So feel free to go to the Mips update and read through the pre-MIP discussions. So this is really great. And by the way, if you have an idea for a MIP, this is what you do. You put up a thread as a pre-MIP discussion, and you start it there before ever drafting the MIP. So this is really important. It's really helpful for getting early feedback out of the way and helping the MIP author to really get their head around what the community expects, what are the things to look out for, what's in the conversation, etc. All right, that's the Mips update. And really quickly, as a part of the Mips update, I also added a bit of a collateral onboarding update. So there are 3 different collaterals that are already past the governance poll stage and are waiting for executives. That's PAX G 6S, which is the very first real world asset. And then the Uni V2 USDC ETH liquidity provider token, LP token. So those are exciting. We're going to have those soon with the blessing of MKR voters, of course. There is a Uni V2 WBTC ETH LP token that's awaiting a governance poll before it goes to awaiting an executive. And this month there is a number of greenlight poll. There are a number of greenlight polls happening. They're going live on January 18th, the middle of the month. And they're going to be for Wrapped Filecoin, P1 Drop, which is a centrifuge real world asset type token, Staked ETH, which is really cool. UniDAI USDC, and then UniDAI USDT. And so yeah, if you want kind of an update to collateral as it happens, and you don't want to rely on these, you can always go to the Collateral Onboarding Prioritization Framework. It's a public Excel sheet that the risk team and governance facilitator use to track the progress of all of these different collateral applications. And as you could see, that's where I got my information from. And there are links to the applications, to the domain work, and everything, and also a list of the active, all the active vaults that got passed. And then down here, there is a whole explanation of how these are rated, how they are prioritized. There's a prioritization score, which is like basically a formula that takes into account all of these different ratings and puts it together and makes a score to help properly prioritize all of these. Because I think right now the biggest bottleneck with onboarding collateral is the smart contract and risk team and Oracle teams like bandwidth, because they all have to do an assessment of the collateral in their own domains. And then yeah, the smart contracts team then has to implement it, schedule it, put it to a vote, put it to the votes, proper votes, and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's that. Finn. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing and face you again and say thank you for joining. We have about 5 minutes left. I am happy to open it up to any questions that any of you might have. And likewise, I want to just call out that this community call is looking for hosts, like alternative hosts. I am looking to kind of diversify the viewing experience here. We're always looking for interesting guests. So if you are interested in coming on, reach out to me. and I'm happy to schedule you to come on a call and show us a demo or explain a MIP that you've been writing, or engage in an interesting debate. And so, yeah, reach out. Yeah, Peter says no, just you, David. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a season for everything, and as much as I really love hosting these, I definitely want other people to get some experience and to kind of, yeah, have this community call be a little bit more variable. Frank asks, personal predictions for 2021. Opinion, of course. What are my predictions? I don't know. I had a whole slide of expectations. I don't know if that counts as predictions. I definitely am not going to be predicting anything related to price of assets. I don't really believe in those types of predictions at the moment. Things are too yeah, I don't know. Who am I to make a prediction? No, but in all seriousness, I think this is going to be a great year of progress. Maker already in 2020 has made an incredible amount of progress, and so it's only upward from here. And I hope that we don't have another. My prediction is that there will not be any like catastrophic failures this year. That's and not that there were any last year, but the Black Thursday thing was probably the closest thing. But yeah, I have a lot of hope for this year. I have a lot of hope for this year, Frank, and thanks for asking. All right, cool. Well, with that, happy Tuesday, everybody. I am going to be ending the broadcast. Look forward to seeing you all next week. And again, if you're interested in contributing to the Maker Protocol, reach out to me. There is a lot of ways that you can help, and getting plugged in early is really great. Yeah, join us. And so, thanks. Goodbye.